Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight.
Evacuees settle in at the New Providence Community Center.
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis updates the country on Hurricane Irma.
Our news is brought to you by Alive, the nation's newest and best LTE network.
Good to be alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, as Irma moves through the Bahamas as a dangerous Category 4 hurricane, shelters across the entire Bahamas were opened at midday. At the same time, Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis addressed the nation on the monster storm that has pummeled parts of the Caribbean. Jasmine Brown reports.
Flanked by his cabinet colleagues, NEMA officials, and leader of the opposition, Philip Brave Davis, the Prime Minister touted a message of hope as he insisted the country will rebound from Irma.
We will need the same spirit of recovery and renewal post-Irma.
The Prime Minister's comments came as conditions across the central Bahamas worsened. Irma is forecast to produce heavy winds, 8 to 12 inches of rain, and storm surges of up to 20 feet. But not everyone will be feeling hurricane conditions, according to Director of the Department of Meteorology, Trevor Baisden, who says at this point, New Providence is likely only to feel tropical storm conditions starting this evening.
Mainly tropical storm force winds, so that range from 39 miles per hour to 73 miles per hour.
But Andros, Long Island, Bimini, and Grand Bahama will not be so lucky, as they are forecast to feel the full impact of the storm. For that reason, NEMA evacuated 365 people from Bimini, bringing them to New Providence yesterday. For those living in coastal areas in Grand Bahama, the Prime Minister called on them to evacuate their homes and head inland.
The residents of West End, Grand Bahama, are being encouraged to relocate to other parts of Grand Bahama. I urge the residents of West End not to delay. Please, please move now. Do not try to ride out the hurricane. You may put your life and that of your loved ones at risk.
Once the storm is out of the area, the Prime Minister says he plans on leading a team to those islands hardest hit as soon as possible.
Immediately following the passage of Hurricane Irma and the all clear is issued by NEMA, I will lead an initial assessment team in the devastated areas. I will also report to the nation in the aftermath of Irma and give a communication to the House of Assembly at the appropriate time. Every effort will be made to bring relief and recovery as quickly as possible, as well as to normalize government services.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, Dr. Minnis says his administration is looking to table legislation that would make evacuations during natural disasters mandatory when the House of Assembly reconvenes. Minnis says the Attorney General's office is working to make that happen.
The Attorney General has already been given the orders to make the amendment to the necessary laws so that there will, in the future, be mandatory evacuation. And I would think that that law will probably be tabled once time permits on Wednesday as Parliament convene.
Well, despite evacuations, some of those residents who decided to ride out the storm at home appear to be weathering the storm much better than expected. Captain Stephen Fox lives on the island of Great Inagua. He was one of few residents who opted to remain on the island despite calls to evacuate. Though some had predicted a catastrophic event on Inagua, folks said from what he's seen so far, they've fared pretty well. We spoke with him via FaceTime.
This morning we made an assessment of Matthew Town, and we have, I'd say roughly 70% of the homes have some kind of roof damage in terms of shingles, but there were only 5 houses that we saw where 1 or 2 sheets of plywood came off. On the airport road, we have a lot of poles down, and I just visited the Morton plant. Actually, I'm the green superintendent here. We lost a lot of our catwalks. They are on the shore side. The maintenance building to the Morton Salt Terminal is severely damaged, but fortunately, there was no loss of life. There's several houses near the airport, and in this area, these homes, I mean, it's not much damage here. There's 1 or 2 shingles off of them, so this area wasn't hit too hard. It's immediately north of the airport.
Okay, and this is in Greater Nagua.
This is in Greater Nagua, correct.
He had a message for his family and friends in Nassau.
I'd like to tell them that all of us are safe down here. There was no loss of life, and we just have to rebuild.
Mayaguana was also one of those islands evacuated ahead of the Category 4 storm. Residents there woke up to extreme weather conditions, but thankfully on that island as well, there have been no reports of loss of life. From what we've learned so far, several buildings have suffered some roof damage and downed trees. Meanwhile, over on Long Island, Amanda Carroll said things were nowhere near as bad as they were during Hurricane Joaquin's passage in 2015.
So far, it's been pretty good. No extreme winds. Definitely something like what we experienced in Joaquin. So for now, we are all safe. Everything looks good. Not sure if we're going to get anything stronger than this as she passes further, along us. But as for now, everything is good.
NEMA Director Captain Stephen Russell says he has gotten good reports so far from islands like Inagua, Mayaguana, Crooked Island, and Acklands.
The reports that are coming in are encouraging to a certain extent in terms of no reported injuries or fatalities. Just before coming here, I spoke with the Chief Consular in Acklands, Mario Virgil. He reported that of the 40 persons who remain on the island, he can give a clear account of 125 who were in 2 of the shelters at the time. And the other persons who were not in the shelters, they are quite sure that they are alive and well.
Before this afternoon's news press conference, the Prime Minister and members of his cabinet visited New Providence Community Center, which serves as a shelter for evacuees. Giorgio Bain reports.
Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis and other government officials visit evacuees here at the New Providence Community Center, and according to some of the occupants, they're appreciative of everything the government has done for them, but they're ready to return home.
That's a good idea. That's very fine and nice. I mean, that's a smart idea. That doesn't make any sense. That's what I think about it.
That was Ruben Lightbourne's response when asked how he felt about being evacuated from his home days ahead of Hurricane Irma. As the powerful hurricane has now made landfall in the southern islands, residents staying at the New Providence Community Center are breathing a sigh of relief and are grateful for safety.
I heard some houses have been damaged, roof has blown off and stuff. Because last time when Hurricane Joaquin was out there, we was left without food and water for days, so I think it was a good idea.
That was Kendra Moss, who is staying at the shelter with her 3 kids. As she remembered Hurricanes Joaquin and Matthew, she added that she was most grateful for a safe place for her children. Her feelings were the same as Pamela Martin, who is staying at MPCC with her 6 children.
And it being okay, everything, I appreciate it. Everything is okay because we eating on time, we sleeping good, we having 3 baths a day. So it ain't under complaint, just to give God thanks for everything that he has done for us and still about to do.
Joining the Prime Minister was Minister of Social Services Lanisha Roll, who said she's proud of the work being done by the Department of Social Services.
At this center, at this shelter, we have about 155. I'm not sure whether that number has grown, but we've basically reached this capacity. We've also opened our overflow center at Kendall G. L. Isaacs Gymnasium. Up to last night, we had about 18 persons there, but we expected more persons to come in from Bimini, and so I expect the numbers to increase. However, a number of residents from the island, they have family members who have taken them on board, and so we are grateful for everyone, all Bahamians chipping in and understanding that this is our time to be our brother's keeper.
Minister of Tourism and Aviation, Dionisio D'Aguilar, greeted evacuees and told our News that any government that failed to evacuate residents before previous storms acted irresponsibly, and he's thankful that residents responded in such large numbers.
1,023 people were lifted out. using 20 flights. It was quite remarkable how Bahamas Air, Sky Bahamas, Flamingo, and how all these airlines popped up, stepped forward, and Pineapple Air as well, stepped forward and assisted our citizens to get out. I think it's much better for them to come up here, out of harm's way, out of the 150, 60, 70 mile an hour winds. So when we hear the statistics of the strength of the storm, 185 mile an hour winds, gusts up to 225 miles an hour, it's a very easy decision to make. If you did not make that decision as a government, you would have been irresponsible.
Cal MP Miriam Emanuel said she spoke with those residents who did not evacuate this morning via satellite phone, and they are in good health.
Selena Point now is experiencing some of the wind, the rain, some of flooding already. But so far from Managua, Crooked Island, the report is that still reporting all is well so far. And I'm pleased of what's happening. And I'm quite sure, like the minister said, persons who are evacuated from these 5 islands in the Michael constituency, they're pleased, they're happy, and I say hats off to my government.
While everything at the shelter seemed to be going fine, some evacuees say they're ready to return home.
Man, I'll be home before the all clear's given. Trust me, one thing smoking getting to the southeastern Bahamas, I own that. And because I think I'm a very, one like me, I think they would need.
I think I will return home because I will be, want to see what's happening down that way. So I would like to return back home.
However, Martin, who recently lost her mother, fears that there may not be anything left for her and her 6 children to return to.
If we didn't leave, we didn't know what's going to take place because like how they say, our island done losing a lot of homes and underneath water. So I ain't planning really to go back because my mom died, so I just will be glad just, to take a little rest from the place.
Reporting for our News, I'm Georgia Bain.
Minister of Health Dr. Dwayne Sands says public health care facilities are filled with people who are not in need of urgent medical care. Sands warns that hospitals are not hurricane shelters.
The hospitals are not official shelters. So if your mother or your father or your grandmother is not as mobile as you'd like them to be, that doesn't mean that they should be deposited at the hospital. As of yesterday afternoon at Princess Margaret Hospital alone, we had 300 patients in hospital. That poses a serious challenge of capacity in the event that we have injuries or persons with problems from the storm.
Sands also warned the public not to go outdoors during the storm or take risks, noting that emergency medical services personnel are not able to respond if winds hit a certain speed.
It is very, very important for people to understand that once winds reach 50 miles per hour, we can no longer send out any ambulances or emergency medical teams. And so if you're pregnant and you're 39 and a half weeks pregnant, you need to get a hold of your doctor today. If you are a high-risk pregnancy, you need to get a hold of your doctor today. If you believe that you have a heart problem or a breathing problem and you don't feel so well, now is the time to be evaluated. Because once those winds reach a certain level, there is no way that anybody's going to be able to come to you.
Sands also urged the public to make blood donations to local blood banks as they are in desperate need.
Right now, all of the blood banks in the country, at the Rand Memorial Hospital, at Doctors Hospital, and Princess Margaret Hospital are very, very low. And so as you make your hurricane preparations, I'm making an appeal right now for anybody who has been a blood donor, or if you feel that you wish to contribute to this national cause, the blood bank will be open today and tomorrow. Please go in and donate a unit of blood. The life you save may be your own, or it may be the life of one of your loved ones.
Well, before businesses shut down today, Bahamians hit the streets to make last-minute preparations. And as April Sands tells us, hundreds of pet owners also sought shelter for their pets at the Bahamas Humane Society.
As you can see, just a number of cars now getting their last-minute gas before the hurricane hits home. As Irma closed in on the Bahamas, most service stations throughout New Providence shut down around midday to prepare for the storm. That didn't sit well with this driver who had hoped to get gas at the last minute.
I really didn't appreciate that, man. I know from this morning when I was going to work, I was to stop the SO, but I was in a rush. But now I end up coming for some gas now. The place closed now. My car ain't get no gas in it. I don't know how I can do it through the storm, but just want to know. Thank God for gas still.
But there was one gas station opened, Roker's Esso gas station, which left cars backed up for miles down Carmichael Road.
That has always been the case because we feel that we're in business to serve the public. Now, we're not criticizing the other people because they have a way of running their business, but the way we run our business is to be able to be there for you during these times, as long as they understand that safety, of course, is first.
How long are you planning on being open as today's
Not
final
for
day?
another hour or so, because we want to make sure our staff gets a chance to secure themselves, and also, too, we don't really advise anyone being out here when it's too rough.
Now, as Bahamians made last-minute preparations, the Bahamas Humane Society was busy catering to over 500 pets in need of shelters during the storm. General Manager Percy Grant says they cannot take on any more animals at this point.
Fortunately, the Humane is full already. We have no more space. People have been calling and making arrangements since last week, and that was really great because we haven't had that before. And so we have to all bunker down and pray for the best.
However, he had this warning for pet owners.
Don't leave any animals corralled anywhere. And that's very important. People sometimes become fearful that something's going to happen and they leave the animals tied up and those animals die. Unfortunately, like what happened in Joaquin as well as Matthew. So we're hoping that this time around, people, Bahamians now, and would take care of their pets better.
Reporting for our news, I'm April Sands.
Still to come on our news, NEMA to get assistance from regional partners, plus a man murdered on Hospital Lane this morning. Stay with us.